Okay, in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you guys through how to create the Lego piece. So this is, again, just some practice for when you're going through creating your own game piece um, for plastics, or if you're just doing the Lego as a drawing for an engineering or anything like that, one of those classes. So with this particular drawing, what we're going to do is we're going to open up Autodesk Inventor. And you should have a desktop icon, but it looks just like this. You're going to go ahead and launch that software. And we're going to, within that software, we're going to create a new part file. So to do that, I'm just going to go into the application icon, and I'm going to go over here to New, and just drag my cursor over there. I'm not going to select anything, and we're going to go to Part. So select Part. And then once this loads, a couple things that I'm going to discuss to you about, and just the environment of Inventor itself is it's a learning curve in itself, but it is fairly simple once you get rolling with it. And there we go. It's about launching here. So one of the first things I want to discuss with you is this big open area right here is called the graphic window. So this is where we're going to do all of our drawing. We can choose what view we look at this drawing by our view cube, which is up in the upper right hand corner. Right here, this is called your browser. We do want this window open. If that window is not open, all you have to do is go to View and User Interface and just make sure you have Browser selected. This is basically our history bar that's going to show us everything that we've done to create sketches, and when we start doing that and put features on sketches, this will list all those items. Alright, so up here we have different tabs, and within those different tabs we have different panels. For example, we're in a 3D model tab, and here's a sketch panel, the create panel, modify, work features. So there are all these different panels within the different tabs. So to get a drawing started, what we're going to do is create a 2D sketch. And so we click on Create 2D Sketch, just left click on that, and we get 3 different planes that we can start a 2D sketch from. I'm going to select this particular plane right here, which I believe is the XY plane. It's not giving me a preview right now, but typically it gives you a preview. It tells you what it is. But we want to select that plane, and you can see how we go into Inventor takes us into sketch mode. And if you've ever used AutoCAD before, this is going to look very similar to AutoCAD. It's a 2D drawing environment initially, and then we make it 3D, a 3D environment. So I'm going to select the rectangle tool. I'm going to go to the origin point within my graphic window, which is this little dot in the center there. You can see how the X and Y are at 0, 0. And I'm just going to left click and drag out basically a rectangle, and I'm going to left click and just drop that rectangle in there. It doesn't matter the size right now. And next thing I'm going to do is, this is not the size of the rectangle that I want to create it's going to make my Lego. I'm going to select on dimension, and now I'm going to dimension this horizontal line, and I'm going to dimension this line at a distance of 1.25, 1.25. So we'll type that in. And I'm also going to dimension this left-hand side, or right-hand side vertical line at 3/8. Alright, so Inventor likes fractions. It also likes decimals. You can put in whatever. You can see I put in 3/8. It converted it to the decimal form, which is 0.375. So either way is fine. So this is the start of our Lego piece. Alright. A couple other things as we have some things drawn here now. Some shortcuts using the mouse. You definitely want to use a mouse when you're using Inventor. The scroll bar on the mouse, if I just scroll in and out, you can see how I can zoom in and out with that. If I push the scroll bar on the mouse, I can get what's called a pan tool, so I can move the object within the graphic window. And there's another one that you could do, is called Orbit. So if you hold Shift center mouse button, I get an Orbit tool, and notice the view cube up in the upper right hand corner. See how it has front view listed, but I can orbit now. It has the top view highlighted, right side view, so I can get these different views. And that's not a big deal right now in the 2D world, but once we start putting some 3D features and things on this, that's going to be big. So I'll show you that here once we start doing that. So we have our rectangle in there. That looks good. We're going to finish this sketch now. And to give it some depth, we're going to click Extrude, which is under the 3D Model tab under the Create panel. So I want to extrude this out. And if this window is minimized, the extrude window, just click on the little arrow, extrude this out. And we're going to go out at a distance of 5/8. Alright, so under the extents it says distance, and we're going to make this 5/8 of an inch, and we're extrude at 5/8. So we have kind of the general blocky shape of the Lego. Alright, now you notice in our browser here that some things did populate. So if I click the little plus next to the extrusion, that was the extrusion we just put on there of 5/8. But we also have sketch 1. Anytime I need to go back into sketch 1, if I can double left click on that, I can go back and I could change these dimensions and it'll update the drawing for me. So that's a nice feature. You just have to always go back to finish sketch. That's tied to this extrusion now. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put a new sketch though on the top surface, and that new sketch is going to be for the pins. So you see we have 8 pins on top of the Lego, and I'm going to click on the circle tool, and I'm just going to left click and drag out a circle that is 3/16. Alright, so I have a circle that is going to be 3/16 in diameter. So there's my circle. Now I could go through and make 7 additional circles and try to space them out properly for the different pins on the Lego. But I'm going to show you another tool here. It's called the rectangular pattern tool. So I want to go under the pattern panel here, and the first one is rectangular. There's also a circular pattern tool, but we're just going to use the rectangular pattern. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the geometry that I want to make a pattern of. So you see how my cursor has a plus there. I'm going to select that first circle. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go under direction 1, select that cursor, and I'm going to select this horizontal line. Good. So you know it's selected when you get this green arrow. So as of now, I'm just going to show you the arrow is pointing in the wrong direction. I'm going to get multiple circles here off of my drawing. So I'm going to flip-flop that. So that's the next one. Next to the cursor, it's the flip direction. So now you can see, okay, it's in the right direction. I'm going to have 4 of these, but the spacing is way off now. So I need to make that spacing a little bit different. So I'm going to put 0.33 for my spacing. So that gives me this basic this row here, but I need to put a second one, a second row through here. So I'm going to click on direction again, direction 2, and the second cursor next to that, and there's the vertical line. I'm just going to select that. The arrow is going in the right direction, all right, to put this on the bottom. I only want a second row through here, so that looks good. But again, my spacing's way off. The default's 1 inch. Again, we're going to go 0.33, see what that looks. That looks pretty good. And just click OK. So now I have all these duplicate circles. Everything looks pretty good. If you don't like your spacing, like I have more spacing here on the bottom than I do on the top, all I have to do is if I left click and drag that center circle, or the original one, I should say, I can kind of eyeball it and space it up. It doesn't have to be perfect, but that's how you can move duplicates. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and finish that sketch, and I'm going to extrude these pins up at a distance of 1/16. So I'm going to select the different surfaces, all the circles, and extrude those up. Make sure you don't get inside here. We just want to select the circles. So I just have the 8 of those selected. I'm going to click OK, and now we have all the pins that we need. All right. The last thing I'm going to do before I'm going to have a second video, this is going to be a 2-part video here, is I'm going to create a new 2D sketch on the bottom, and I'm going to offset a rectangle and basically hollow out the bottom of the Lego. So I want to click on Offset. I'm going to select, it's under Modify panel, and I will select this circle here, or the rectangle, and drag that in. So I've created a new offset rectangle, and I'm just going to space that 1/16 of an inch. So I put a dimension between the two, type in 1/16, and then once I have that spaced, I have this constrained, so it's 1/16 all the way around. So you only need to put that one constraint or dimension in there. And again, I just left click this top line and the second line here to do that. Now I'm going to go back in to finish my sketch. I'm going to select extrude. And what I'm going to do is cut. So now I'm going to cut this at 0.25 or 1/4 of an inch. And I'm going to select this circle here and let me orbit this around so you can see that. So again, that shift center mouse button, you can see gives me a preview of what it's actually cutting down in through. Alright, and that's exactly what we want. So we're cutting that surface, click OK, and there we go. Alright. So in the next video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to put the 3 circles here on the bottom. And we're going to put Lego across the top of here, and then we're going to color it. Show you how to color that. Alright, so that's going to be in part 2.